Look who's here. Former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, joins me this morning. Is this just Alvin Bragg going for Trump, or is it the whole Democrat Party pushing for an indictment?
Well, look, I assume that they want to nominate Trump and that they think Trump's the best person to run against, because you could hardly do him a bigger favor than to have a George Soros-backed, over $1 million in campaign funds, Democrat who had served under two New York State attorney generals who were involved in corruption, bring, a totally absurd attack. Alvin Bragg doesn't actually go after carjackers, armed robbers. He at one point issued a memo that basically said, look, if you have a gun, but you're not going to use it, we're not going to charge you with having a gun. And this is in a robbery. This guy is a left-wing professional politician. And candidly, I'm reminded of Tom Wolfe's novel, Bonfire of the Vanities, which later became a movie with Tom Hanks, in that you have a politically pressured guy in Manhattan who started to back off, and the left yelled at him so loud he decided he would come back in. Now he's getting yelled at again. I'm not sure they'll ever actually go after Trump, but they've given Trump 2 weeks of every Republican in the country sympathizing with him.
Is there any backlash from the Democrats against Alvin Bragg and say, wait a minute, you shouldn't be doing this to the party or the country?
I don't think Democrats are allowed to behave rationally when it involves Trump. I think that they're part of a chanting mob, along with the New York Times and the Washington Post and some of the networks. So it's very hard for them to say, why don't we be reasonable about this? That makes them look like they're either cowardly or, worst of all, they're secretly pro-Trump. And so I don't think he has any negative pressure from his own party right now.
OK. Newt, would you do us all a favour? Stay there, please. I've got another subject for you in just a couple of minutes.
Sure.
OK with that? I've got to get back to the bank, so that's the financial story of the day. Take me through the latest, please, Lauren.
Well, we'll do the update on Silicon Valley first. There's a bank out of North Carolina. It's called First Citizens Bank. They reportedly made a bid on Sunday for Silicon Valley. First Citizens is a traditional bank. I'll call it a boring bank, pretty traditional, but they do buy a lot of other banks. They bought 20 in the past 14 years. And they're reportedly eyeing Silicon Valley Bank to diversify. The Carolinas are seeing growth in tech and biopharmaceuticals. So that's where SVB had a niche. So that's Silicon Valley. Now, First Republic. This stock was down 90% this month. It's up here in the pre-market. I'm saying 1-800-JAMIE-DIAMOND here.
That's a good one.
I mean, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that Diamond is leading an effort to boost First Republic's capital. So remember the $30 billion deposit by the 11 banks last week? That could be now converted into a capital infusion, reportedly, but more needs to be done to save First Republic.
Dan Ives with us this Tuesday morning. Dan, I said at the top of the show, maybe the banking crisis is winding down. Is it?
Look, I think they've ring-fenced it. I mean, I think systematic risk taken off table, both on the Credit Suisse side as well as in the U.S. with SVB. That's the important thing. That's why you see green on the screen, because investors feel like this has sort of been ring-fenced, and I think that's bullish relative to some of the scary sort of white knuckles we've seen.
Do you approve of the measures they've taken so far? In other words, have they worked? Seems like they have.
Well, I think they have. I mean, I think ultimately their hands are forced in this game of high-stakes poker. They realized what happened in 08. And this is, especially with SVB and others, they had to ultimately take systematic risk off the table. So far, so good. That's what you see in the market.
You're a frequent guest on the show. I, of course, read your stuff, see what you're thinking. You think that tech, big tech, is a safety blanket in these times.
It's a safety blanket in the storm. And I think you've seen it, because you don't have to worry about any Sunday night headlines from tech. Wow, these valuations we believe are compelling. And ultimately, with the Fed handcuffed, in my opinion, they really can't raise rates anymore outside maybe 25 bips. That's bullish for tech. That's why you continue to see tech stocks higher.
Got it. Stay there, please. You've decided to stay with us for the entire hour.
Yep.
What a guy. Thank you, Dan. All right. Let's get back to President Biden. He has signed his first veto to stop Republicans from cracking down on woke investing rules. Watch this.
I just signed this veto because the legislation passed by the Congress would put at risk the retirement savings of individuals across the country. They couldn't take into consideration investments that wouldn't be impacted by climate, impacted by overpaying executives, and that's why I decided to veto it.
Okay, let's bring Newt back in again. Sir, ESG rules, this is my opinion, ESG rules are about government control of your pension money. What say you?
Well, what I say is that Joe Biden just vetoed a bill, which means that retirees are going to have less money.
Yeah.
He's taking money out of their pocket for his left-wing ideology. Every evidence we have is that, in fact, businesses that invest based on profit and loss make much more money than businesses that invest based on some left-wing ideology. So he's basically saying the government's going to check on your pension to make sure you lose money by investing in the things that left-wingers believe in. I think the average American would rather have their pension be bigger, and then if they want to help save the planet, they have the money in their pocket to do it. I don't think they particularly want Joe Biden reaching into their pension for his particular pet hobbies.
I think it's outrageous, actually. It's an attempt to control private capital and push it into green investing, ESG rules, push it into this intellectual straitjacket that so many corporations are involved in this moment, at woke politics. Is it over? Is it coming to an end?
Well, I think if you look at the state level, whether it's DeSantis in Florida or his governors across the whole country, there's no question that Republican states are taking this stuff apart and are attacking head-on the idea that some left-wing ideology should control your life. I think, frankly, that Speaker McCarthy and the Republicans in the House are going to continue to take strong positions on this. And my guess is if one of the issues in 2024 is, would you like the government to make sure you have a smaller pension so they can take care of AOC and the other left-wingers, or would you rather have free market-oriented effort for you to have the best possible pension? I think the average person is going to vote for a bigger pension, and then they get to decide what to do with their own money, not have some Washington bureaucrat decide it.
Newt Gingrich, always good. Thank you very much for being with us, Newt. We always appreciate it.
Good to see you.
Yes.